I've always loved the outdoors. As a young boy, I enjoyed walking the fields and forests of the southern Ontario countryside I grew up in. As an adult, I've had incredible opportunities to broaden the scope of outdoor adventure I enjoy, and I've taken advantage of those opportunities. Not only in terms of the destinations I've visited, but the activities I undertake as well. But no matter where or what, I just love being outside in the realm of nature, drinking in the rejuvenation and reflection it instills in me. Recently, however, I learned that I was missing some of what the outdoors had to offer. You see, I contacted Alba Wilderness School and Nature Experiences in the beautiful Lanark region of eastern Ontario, not far from Ottawa. These outdoor experts offer a myriad of comprehensive outdoor courses covering subjects from lost proofing and winter camping to something I was keenly interested in: wilderness awareness. Through this Wilderness Awareness course, actually they offer two courses, Wilderness Awareness 1 and 2, I learned how to become even more attuned to my natural surroundings. And, as instructor Chad Clifford explained, that began with altering some of my attitudes towards my own outdoor trips.
Here at Alba, we've put a lot of thought into the wilderness experience. And we've come up with what we consider two problems. And the first problem is the A to B mindset. When people come into the woods, they're on city time, running by the clock.
I know exactly what you mean, and whenever I think of trips that I've done and attitudes of a lot of people I've gone into the outdoors with, it's all about miles, right? You know, I went hiking, we went on this big long trip, and it was how many miles did you put away a day? You know, that's like the gauge of success. And what you're saying is don't aim for that rushing and that distance and that quantity, but really quality of experience, right?
That's exactly it.
What's the second problem?
The second problem is relaxation. For example, on a 7-day canoe trip, it often takes 3 days just to really feel in there, relax.
Yeah, and I guess for people that just go for a weekend or 3 days or something like that, they may truly never really relax on their experience.
It's difficult to.
Yeah. Well, I know how to solve the first problem, the A to B, just go slower and don't take such ambitious trips, but how do you solve the second problem?
What we teach at the school here is as soon as you get to the trailhead, get out of your car, find a spot to sit down, take 15 minutes, half an hour, and just look around you. Take in your surroundings, slow down. As Thoreau would say, what right do you have to be in the woods if you're thinking about the city? Yeah. It's really a nature meditation.
Yeah, it's really an investment in your trip, isn't it? Because if you take that half hour, to do that, as soon as you get away, I know what I'm doing usually is I got the canoe off the car, everything's packed, and we're digging in, going for the first campsite. And really, I guess it'll help to really put you in tune with nature, because when you look around here, or when you head into the outdoors, you see that nature is not in a rush, really.
No, it's a different mode of living.
And meditation is a really good word for it, I think, because the root meaning of meditation is akin to a cow chewing its cud. It's sitting there, it's just kind of turning over your thoughts about something and just relaxing, just sort of pondering it. I guess that's really what you want to do with the outdoors.
Oh, I like that. That's a good comparison.
Last summer, I traveled to New Brunswick, and I hung around Icelandic horses for a while. Now, I learned a lot of things about them. They're beautiful, but they've got different gaits or movements from other horses. They've got the trot, the canter, the tolt, the flying pace, and just like that, men have different gaits as well. About 4 of them. I like to call them couch, walk, run, and saunter. And for those of you who don't know what sauntering is, it should actually come between couch and walk, because it's very slow. It's what my wife tells me I do in the shopping mall, and she hates it because she goes there with a purpose to go from store to store, and I pretty much do this kind of thing right down the concourse of the mall. Now, Thoreau really had some good ideas about sauntering in the outdoors, and here at Alba, they teach you the Thoreau saunter. And it goes something like this. You go into the outdoors without any purpose, without any goal, without any timetable, and you just look around you, you just walk around. Take your time. And if something interests you, be childlike. Explore, investigate. So if you see something and it's kind of neat to look at or puzzling, go over and check it out. And just live in the moment. Just move around, and you'll find that you learn and explore in an exciting way. Excuse me while I go saunter.
Well, here we are, John. This is our outdoor classroom. Here we have the prospector tent with the fire going inside and some refreshments. And over by the creek here we have our outdoor fire pit, where we practice a lot of our skills.
Wow, this is perfect. One very special feature of Alba Wilderness School's courses is the possibility that a visitor may wander into camp to share some wisdom and ideas about the outdoors. I was surprised and delighted on just such a visit to meet a legend of the Canadian wilderness.
My name is Grey Owl. I was born an Englishman, Hastings, England, 1888. But except for that unfortunate accident of birth, spiritually and every other way, I was Indian. I am Indian.
Personally, I've never been much for keeping a diary, so I haven't. But I did spend a little time with another Alba Wilderness School instructor who changed my mind about capturing some of my outdoor experiences on paper.
Well, one of the things that you can do while you're on a nature sit is to take a journal along with you. And it's an excellent tool for bringing out your creativity, but also enjoying your surroundings and taking note of your surroundings. You can learn so much more when you take note or sketch what you're observing. Everything down from the detail of a deer track.
Right.
Take note of your soil conditions, the weather conditions, even location.
Other tracks you come along, it looks like.
Yeah, these are other tracks that have shown the difference between coyote, wolf, dog, and so forth.
Interesting. You know, I feel so guilty now because I've done like thousands of days in the outdoors and I haven't even written anything down, but it's so amazing to think about, you know, if you think back to the really famous naturalists, you know, like Aldo Leopold and Muir and people like that, you know, I guess some of those fantastic quotes you see on posters and stuff probably come from journals. Some of the things that they wrote down as they looked at the wonders of Yosemite or whatever the outdoors was that they were going through, right?
That's right. Well, Henry David Thoreau wrote well over 1 million words in his lifetime, and those notes became the books that we read today.
Yeah, and not that that's the point of doing it, but it really is a fantastic way to, you know, remember these things, and I guess even pass them on to your children or other people or friends, you know, to share the outdoors with them. What a fantastic idea.
And the more we learn about the outdoors, the more we develop an appreciation and respect towards the outdoors, and therefore you want to preserve it, protect it.
The one man called Stand Alone. He was my spiritual mentor. I mean, I know of no man who was a giant like he was. And he taught me how to walk, because a white man doesn't know how to walk. When they go through the bush, all the wildlife hear him coming way before he becomes visible. But he taught me to walk like a fox, 1 foot in front of the other, silently, non-intrusively, until I could literally blend into the environment, walk right up to an animal where I could have touched them if I had so desired.
One of the ways we can improve our wilderness awareness skills actually begins with our feet.
And why is that?
Well, we have this nasty tendency of committing our body weight with our feet at the same time. But if we were to change that and commit our feet and then our body, then we wouldn't be stepping on things and having to look straight down.
Breaking branches, all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm really not sure. First of all, I can identify with looking down because I find all the time I get into this head down mode when I'm following someone, or even sometimes out on the trail and I miss all kinds of things in the outdoors. A moose could probably stand there, not making noise, and I'd walk right by half the time. So what do you mean, though, by not committing with our body and our feet at the same time? Show me what you're talking about.
Okay. What you want to do is you don't commit your body weight. You put your foot down on the one part, the ball of your foot on the outside.
The front of your foot, right?
Yeah, that's right. Roll it to the inside of your foot. Put the heel down, then the toes, then your body follows.
Gotcha. Whereas a normal person, or a person who's maybe doing it the wrong way, I guess to some degree, we just go like this, right? And our body weight's right over our point of pressure on the ground?
Exactly.
Okay, so this is sort of testing with your foot, stepping out with your foot more like this?
That's right.
That sort of thing?
And that way, your eyes don't have to look because you're afraid of stepping, hurting your ankle or something.
Right.
You can look up, and now perhaps you'll see that moose.
And this kind of reminds me of a blue heron. You know, when it's in the wetland, and you see it, and they kind of put their foot forward and then move over their foot. Is that the same kind of idea? Because they could be stepping in a hole, they could be stepping in the mud, or I guess they're in mud, all that kind of stuff.
They're very stealthful.
And then he taught me how to see. I mean, his eyes were like a camera. You never realized that he was looking here or there, but he took it all in, every little detail. And he also spiritualized it because he knew what belonged and what didn't. Nothing escaped his attention.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of walking on ice. Walking softly and testing it before you get there. And yeah, I guess you'd have to discipline yourself, but you could do this.
Exactly. Once you've developed your walking techniques, then you can go to your other sensories, such as your vision. And you tend to stare what you look at. So if you can look at more things in a broader perspective, look at it using your periphery,
Right.
then you can pick up more things. You're forcing yourself to be more alert and aware.
Right, so when most people look out at, say, the bush over there, and they look to a spot, they put like all their vision effort into that spot, and they only see that spot, and perhaps there could be just a fox sitting over there that's just trotting away, but you wouldn't see it because the motion doesn't really trigger you because you're looking there.
Exactly.
So kind of look at the picture like a big painting all together at the same time.
That's right. And by doing that, you see movement using
Right.
your peripheral vision.
Right.
And at nighttime, you have more cone receptors, so it brings in the light more.
So at nighttime, if you kind of not defocus, but kind of deconcentrate, or take the concentration away from a specific spot, it's going to be better.
Exactly. It's sort of like if you stare at a star, it disappears. But if you look to the side of it, then it reappears.
It's easier to see it.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
And he taught me how to hear, because white men rely so much on their vision. But when you learn to hear, to really listen, there is so much communication that takes place, that you hear voices, ways of seeing things that take you beyond the scope of ordinary experience. I owe everything to this man.
I'm feeling a little like Mickey Mouse here. What am I doing?
Actually, I think you're scaring me, John.
But I can hear a lot more.
That's exactly what you're doing. You're using one of your senses, which is your hearing.
Right.
And you're actually mimicking an animal. They've got the nice large ears, and they can turn them alternately. And sound waves come at you at different levels. Like
Right.
some will bounce off the ground.
Right.
And by using your hands and turning them, you get a little bit of depth perception as well. And the sound sort of gets cupped into your ears, and you just get to hear a lot more.
Yeah, white-tailed deer, I guess, are probably one of the best examples of that because they have just massive ears, and they're moving them all around, listening for danger, and they apparently can hear pretty well.
Yeah.
And earlier this summer, I went out to the Canadian Ecology Centre in Mattawa, and we used actually parabolic microphones with headphones to listen to the outdoors. And really, this is just a very simple way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I can see where the best way to use this, I've heard things rustling in the leaves before, and I couldn't find out where they were. This would be a good way to pinpoint it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but if you're a little bit nervous at nighttime and
Yes.
when that squirrel sounds like a bear, don't be doing this because you'll be having fits.
All right, let's have a listen to the woods.
I was caught in a forest fire, and I, along with the other animals, were rushing with a good degree of panic to escape the onrush of this fire. But one moment I'll never forget, I happened to glance down and made eye contact with a partridge. And what transpired in that one moment of just stopping and looking was more than 1,000 words could convey, because in the eyes of that partridge I sensed first fear, but underneath that fear communicated a peace and a resignation. And I knew that she knew that she could have escaped that fire, but her chicks could not. And the love that she had to stay there to shelter with the last ounce of her strength her children. And I knew, as I've learned many times later, that animals can love, that undergirding all of wilderness is this ethic of love. And if in a forest fire I hadn't have stopped to make that eye contact, I would have missed one of the spiritual experiences of my life. We just cannot allow our forests to be taken from us. We need to have these sacred moments so we know how precious our kinship with Mother Earth and with all animals, plants, trees. We are part of them, they are part of us. We cannot afford to allow this legacy to not be handed down to our children.
One of my favorite activities in the woods is just the nature sit. Now, the nature sit is nothing more than just finding a place that draws your attention. You just go there and you sit down. I think nature is at its best when you're sitting. When you're in a group walking down a trail or by yourself, even if you're trying to be quiet, it's very difficult to really see much. You know, the birds will hear you, the chipmunks will chatter at you. But when you're sitting, things tend to flow back to the way they were as if you weren't there. I remember one experience, heard a red squirrel off in the distance, and it was chattering away, scolding something. I knew it wasn't me because I had been quiet for quite a while. But then about 5 minutes later, a large fisher strolled by. And of course, fishers are the larger weasels that are one of the few predators that can actually kill a porcupine. So that was a real treat for me. And I know I wouldn't have seen that had I been walking. What I find nice during a nature sit or any time in the woods is to play a musical instrument. Now with me, there's nothing that I like better than the sound of a native flute in the woods. It just seems to have earth sounds or earthy tones. You know, you can imitate a loon call or anything you want. You can just kind of play with the wind or with the leaves rustling.
In addition to the wilderness awareness skills I learned during my course, Chad introduced me to some other fascinating camp-related skills and activities that would enhance my future wilderness experiences.
You know, John, one nice thing about campcraft in the woods is that it gives you something to do. It gives you activities that are nature-based. You're not bringing in things with you, like a book or something.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel more at home with nature when you build something yourself and you use it.
And I guess the nice thing is that when you undertake that kind of activity in camp, that really you're making something that is a memento for later trips and that sort of thing, like what we're going to make today.
Exactly. And what we're going to make today are spoons. Now, when we go to make the spoons, we'll have to take them from these, which are basically just spoon dies.
So these are basically blanks of wood that we're going to use to carve them. There's
just-
spoons locked in here.
Exactly.
We got to get them out.
Just split open from a piece of branch, and there you go. You got spoons waiting to happen.
Now this smells like cedar, feels like cedar. It's really light.
It is cedar, and I have some cedar spoons right here.
Mhm.
And as you can see, they come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, so this would be a larger one for like just storing a big pot or something?
Stirring a pot, a porridge, or anything you want.
Yeah.
And these smaller ones here are good as personal spoons.
Right.
And you can get fancy. You can make some nice rope and,
Hang them around your
Hang
neck
around
even
your
if
neck,
you want, right?
exactly.
And then you'll never lose it. That's a good idea. Okay, so what's the first step in making these from taking a piece of wood like this and making it into a spoon like
Okay, well, we grab one of our blanks, I guess you call it, and when you split the wood,
Right.
if you split it in a triangular shape,
Right.
like this piece, you can just picture the top of the spoon being on the larger
that?
flat
Right,
side.
and then the triangle will be rounded out to be the
That's
bottom
right.
round of the spoon.
Now,
Okay.
if you don't have a flat surface, like I do here, but if you
Right.
don't have a flat surface, you can just carve a flat surface, so for later your spoon will be burned out.
Okay, and that's what I have. I have sort of a half round here, so a
Exactly.
quarter round, so just a nice flat surface, not too deep, I guess.
Just like what you're doing, just the last half of the spoon, that's great. And all you want to do is get a flat surface, because you're going to put a coal on that afterwards. Once you finish carving your spoon wood, next thing you need to do is get a coal to throw on it. And what you can do is make a pair of tongs, like I have here.
Wow, that's handy. It looks just like a piece of sapling, eh?
That's all it is, a piece of sapling or a piece of dead wood, just split down the center, a little fulcrum point, a little piece of stick there.
Ingenious. Now, why do you want to get this ember out of here?
You want to do that to burn a hole. You want to burn the bowl of your spoon.
Oh, so you don't actually, that's why they're blackened. You don't actually carve
That's right.
the concave part of the spoon
That's
out.
right, it's burned out, and you can do all kinds of crafts with coal burning.
Okay.
You don't want to do it too close to the end, because it might
Right.
crack the wood.
Okay.
But anyway, you take another piece of stick, and just simply blow the heat of the coal onto your wood.
And just move it around to get that round shape out of there.
That's it.
Okay, I think I'll take one of those. I'm going to try that. And right down to this, the survival skills and campcraft. Look at this spoon. This is amazing with just a piece of cedar and an ember. You know, this is amazing to me to put the ember on there and to blow on this and get that just to hollow out the spoon like that. And I guess now it's time for something that I always saw Jed and Jethro do on Beverly Hillbillies, and that is do a little whittling to pass the time, eh?
Yeah, and there's a few little tips I want to mention to you about whittling. And while you, I'll get to that after.
I'll do the handle first.
Okay, and while you're doing the handle, I'm going to scrape out the char in the bowl.
Okay.
And you just grab the nearest rock or stick, scrape it out, just like this.
Okay. You know, this has been an amazing experience, Chad. When I think back of all the outdoor adventures that I've taken, and I've enjoyed them, but I can see now that Really, I've been missing some of the finer points, and right down to the entertaining parts of this course with a bit of survival skills and campcraft. Making a spoon like this, amazing. Never thought I could do that.
Good job on the spoon. And I'm
Thanks.
glad you enjoyed yourself. We hear that. We get a lot of good feedback like that. What do you say we finish up this tea now that it's getting dark and head up into the hills and maybe try wolf howl or hoot a few owls and
That would be cool. This is northern wilderness, I'll tell you. Well, folks, if you'd like to take a course like I have in learning how to be more aware of the outdoors around you, all you have to do is get in touch with Alba Wilderness School and Nature Experiences here in the beautiful Lanark Highlands of Eastern Ontario. I'm John Summerfield. Thanks for watching. Join me next time for another adventure right here on The Great Outdoorsman.